Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm right wing Rico Limbaugh. This is the Single Boyfriend channel, and we're going to go over the Candace Owens episode from today. It was amazing. I'm going to tell you this 81,000 live viewers means that even though the news, every television show, TPUSA itself, everyone, barely a little bit over a little, maybe not even 2 months later, everyone has moved on from the death of Charlie Kirk in those organizations. But 81,000 live viewers, 1.8 million people in under 12 hours shows you that for the world and for the rest of us, the war has just begun. One thing about somebody like Candace Owens, it's very similar to myself. When you deal with the public and you're actually dealing with people from different walks of life, different races, different background, you start to learn that we have more in common than we have different. Most people in general are simple, predictable. And when it came to this Charlie Kirk assassination, there were so many oddities with the behavior of the people that were on site that it makes you question everything. It all seems performative, it seems script, it makes no sense. Candace Owens is pointing this out, and you have trash that I follow, like Steven Crowder, have the nerve to talk bad on her for literally still keeping this open. Now, I've told everybody this, and I'm going to keep saying it. Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens were soulmates. They were actually set to actually be together. The powers that be brought Erica Kirk out of nowhere. Apparently, she was tied to the Romanian angel scandal with those military people. That's all on record. None of this is being made up. I mean, how else would a 17-year-old girl who used to do beauty pageants with Donald Trump magically open up a nonprofit in the country of Romania that ended up being in a scandal with kids being moved around, if you know what I mean? Then magically she shifted and introduced to this guy that does political organizing at colleges out of the blue. You know, they said on one of their first conversations when he texted her, she had came to TPUSA to do an interview for a job. But the next week when he reached out to her, she's in the Hamptons. What an odd place to be for someone who doesn't work and needs a job. Why would you need a low level intern job at TPUSA when you come from money? You had your own nonprofit, and the following week, you're in the Hamptons. You know, I shared these other videos. If you guys want to go back, my early Charlie Kirk videos, where they first get engaged, and she's like staring, and she's like, "Oh my God, I can't stop staring at you." It's just women don't behave you like that. That's not how women act. Not when they're engaged, not when it's a man they've been with, maybe to celebrities or men they've had crushes on, but not to someone they're with. Everything about it was performative. Candace Owens, when you listen to her speak about Charlie Kirk, you can hear the pain in her voice. She actually cared. She loved him. But as we look around to his entire circle, everyone that was close to him is either afraid or they just have moved on. But in my opinion, it seems like it's out of fear. They know that if whoever was behind this could pull this off against Charlie, then having something done to them or their family would be child's play. Candace Owens is literally risking her life by breaking down these videos, by making this content, by keeping this alive. This is a war. We are her soldiers. We are the soldiers of truth. We want the truth. Somebody asked me the other day, a black woman, she says, "Well, what good is all this information? What if you do find out who actually did this to Charlie? What does it matter? That was one of the most disappointing things I've ever heard. That there are people who feel that the truth is not important. Little do you know, the truth is justice itself. We don't need a court to validate everything. Some institutions are too big to even prosecute them in the first place. Look at Pfizer, for example. They're felons. They've been charged with 30 something odd felonies or more, paid out billions in fines. But it's a company, still around, still open for business. You can't put a company in prison. But the truth coming out can help people make more informed decisions on what they do in regards to this business. The same thing happens with this Charlie Kirk tragedy. If we can't figure out and narrow down exactly who, what, when, where, and why, and we just give up and move on, accept the official narrative, then the question is naturally going to be, which one of us is next? I guess we can all make a guess about who that would be. We can look and see who is public enemy number one. They talked about Candace having enemies, and that's why Charlie Kirk shouldn't bring her on, because he expressed to his board that he's thinking about bringing back Candace. And they were all against it because they were saying so many people hate her. But when Charlie Kirk's views changed, God spoke to him and showed him the light, and his position pivoted. The same enemies that Candace has, now Charlie has. But they have more access to Charlie than they do to Candace. They have more access to Charlie than they do to Tucker or Tim Pool. A lot of people were smart and they've moved themselves out of the way. So they're here. But Charlie was on the front line. He didn't understand the danger, or maybe he did. He prophesied his own passing. And he said that Candace was going to be a force to be reckoned with. And she's looking at him like, you're too young. You don't even know your own full potential. But he felt something coming. That's why there's millions of people that are listening to this and interested, because we all know when we're being lied to. Because we've been lied to for so long, so much about so many different things. We find out conspiracy theories were true 6 months, 8 months, 2 years, 20 years later. We're tired of it. The good thing is, because we have the First Amendment in the United States, unlike the rest of the world, we can actually make these videos and speak freely. When Charlie started to speak out against Zionism and put a target on his back, that guy, Josh Hammer, that works with him, you can just look at just everything about him tells you. And then his behaviors, the things he said afterwards, it's like they were using Charlie. They built up this entire stage around him, but they always knew if he ever turned or if he ever changed, because, for some people, you can pay them to say anything. But once you get the money, you start feeling a sense of independence, and you're like, well, maybe I don't have to say this. Maybe I can be my true self. But changing your role when you're so deep in some of these positions is difficult. It's impossible. You're typecast. But if this is a scripted movie, then if your character gets out of line in real life, they'll just cut you out the script. They cut Charlie out and replaced him immediately with somebody who takes orders. From the looks of it, Charlie was Erica Kirk's next project from what she came from. She wasn't prosecuted, but other generals were, and there was a lot of other people that took about the Romanian angels. Just look it up. Somebody gave her a new lease on life, and they put her onto a new project. And I always play these videos. You can see, go look them up, about when they're doing the interview and she's staring at him and she's pretending she can't sit still. It's a joke. She's some little pretty blonde chick. Magically, you're just overly obsessed with Charlie Kirk. None of it makes any sense. That's not how it goes in real life, unfortunately. I'm looking at these videos that Candace is questioning. A man runs up to the table. He does like a MacGyver roll over the table, like he's sliding on the hood of a car, just to give another guy a handshake and take off. None of these guys took off their shades to get a better look at the injury, to put their hand on it so they can try to stop the bleeding. And there was only one person I can see in that whole area that looked like they saw something and took off. There was some random black dude that was standing right there by the camera. He's like, oh shit, and he bounces. Everyone else kept their shades on, they kept their cool. I know if I'm wearing glasses, I want to get a better look at something, especially dark shades. I'm at least take them off. With the kind of injury Kirk had, the blood would have there have been a trail of it to the car. It'd have been on the people's hands around them, on the shirts, on their shoes. But it's nowhere. Then we start realizing that they keep showing us now every day on the internet since that there's an AI called Sora that can literally produce video based on real people and they can make you see whatever they want you to see. So now even I'm questioning if the video I saw what happened, did the people there in person see the same thing or did we see something different? Because ever since September 10th, all of a sudden Sora AI is showing me, fat black women jumping on buffets and Tupac, and I'm like, what is all this? All of a sudden, now I'm questioning everything that I'm seeing, and I can tell you I don't know if the people in the crowd saw the exact same thing that I saw on video. And apparently, there's a gag order for 3,000 people who were in attendance. That's a sign of desperation. When you want to cut a man's tongue out and stop him from speaking, you're desperate. He spoke out against Zionism. Zionists are desperate. They're scared. But I thought they were all powerful. They're not. They're afraid of Americans because we can speak. People don't understand the power of language. The fact that I can sit here on a video and speak to you without being in person, but it's transmitted to thousands of people. Apparently, I have 100,000 views in the past few weeks. I appreciate my channel growth, but I'm not doing this for money. I've received donations, and it's not about that. It's just that and I have a wide range of topics that I talk about, but this is near and dear. If you go to Right Wing Rico on Instagram, my profile picture is Charlie Kirk. I respected the man. I appreciated the man. I live in Arizona. I had just moved back here. I wanted to go meet him at TP USA one day and see if I can volunteer to come to some of when they go on these college tours. I let myself get too busy where I never went down there in person until now it's too late and I'm at the memorial, at the center. I respected what he did, the bravery that it took to speak out against people. All these chicken shit cowards that, oh, now that he's passed away, they all got so much to say about him. Oh, he's a racist. He's this. He's that. Well, why were you so scared to say this when he was alive? Where was that energy? You wait until he's passed away to now you want to be some big, tough, man, shut the hell up. That's why you can't even take these people seriously. They're clowns. To think that we are going to let someone who we respected so much, their memory and their legacy be tarnished with lies about what happened to them is unacceptable. Candace isn't going to let it happen. I'm not going to let it happen. You got other content creators like Mr. Let Go and Jesse on Fire did a really good show today. I'm just a guy, right? I'm just talking to a camera. I'm not a professional at this. I'm just speaking to people about what I'm noticing. I'm a part of this too. I'm also going to continue to make content and put it out there to my audience where we're going to question everything because as of today, we know nothing. I keep telling people, and we might as well just stay on topic because when Tyler Robinson is likely found not guilty, we're going to have to come right back here anyway, except it's going to be 2 years lost. 2 years gone. Might as well just stay here and do this now. The truth is, there is not enough evidence to tie him to. They didn't catch him with the rifle. They didn't catch him doing anything specifically. His dad apparently turned him in. He turned himself in. So basically, he got away. There's no real physical evidence. There's no gunpowder. And the gun they're trying to say that did that would have literally took off his whole head. Wouldn't have survived. The bone wouldn't have stopped that. The bullet. And we know that because there's been dozens of ballistics experts who have demonstrated how this works. So far, the only theory that makes sense is an air actuated pellet gun that they rigged something to appear to be a mic under his shirt. The way it was angled, it appeared that this device was to be aimed to go here, but it must have shifted when Charlie was moving around. And when it hit, it clipped. It seems like it clipped him. We don't know if that was the entrance or the exit because, well, we're not allowed to see the autopsy. We don't know if one was done. Immediately, he's on a plane with J.D. Vance, and they take him to a faraway hospital and not the closest center. And the faraway hospital just got a brand new hospital president. There's like all these weird happenstance scenarios around this. It just doesn't add up. What I'm telling you is that nothing that played out that day was natural. We are from the United States. We have a Second Amendment also. We're used to gun violence. We're used to death. We're used to gruesome. We're used to seeing blood and bodies. We're used to it. We're desensitized to it. We're not in the UK. We're not in other parts of the world. We're used to it. So we know what to look for. We know what to expect. We see it every day. Nothing that day was normal or natural or made sense. And now people hate Candace because she won't let it go. Why should she? She's the only one that loved him. If it wasn't for Erica Kirk being planted in his life, Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens would have been married. They couldn't do that. They kept them separated. You know, I remember in the movie Dune, they would call certain women Bene Gesserit. That's kind of like what Erica Kirk was. And it seems like a few months ago, she found out that Charlie was starting to ask the wrong questions. She was probably put there just to make sure he stayed on track, but she was also there as an early warning system. Whoever put her there, they needed to know if his behavior changed, if his conversation changed, or what his mindset changed. You know, it's crazy. I always tell people when people used to, because I liked Charlie Kirk because he would go to colleges. I couldn't stand him on his opinions on Israel. And I used to always say to people when they would bring him up, I would tell you, I agree with you. I don't know how a man can be so smart about so much, but his brain completely turns off when it comes to this one particular topic. But it's not just him. Brandon Tatum goes full retard when it comes to Israel, a country he doesn't live in, a country he doesn't speak Yiddish, he's not is Jewish, but yet all these people magically, when it comes to this one nation, all their hardcore stances and their beliefs and their moral compass, it just starts to spin like they're standing above magnetic north. Magically, just when it comes to that one topic, smart as hell about everything. If you applied their logic to the rest of the world, to this one nation, then their entire opinions about that they express would be completely different. That's why I said it doesn't make sense. It seems like Charlie Kirk came to a point where he didn't care about the money. He actually turned down the money. And I don't know what that was that happened that made him pivot, where he said, It was like an aha moment, a light bulb came on, and he's like, oh, wow, ethnic cleansing is bad. I'm sure he knew. I mean, it's hard not to. We all share the same internet, don't we? We have the same access. We see the same things. But it seems like he apparently turned down this money from Israel, 150 million, turned it down. Didn't want it. He started platforming people like that would come on and they would speak the truth about the ethnic cleansing, about the war, and it did not put Israel in the best light. Now, everybody keeps trying to tell me, but Rico, the trans kids, the reason I don't believe the theories about that is because there's hundreds of thousands of these kids that are just like Tyler Robinson. See, there's some things you guys don't really know about your sons anymore. What happens is, due to the childhood vaccine schedule that I talk about freely now, for the most part, because Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is our Health and Human Services Secretary. He talks about it. I'm not saying anything that he has not already said for years. So we can talk about it on YouTube. Childhood vaccines were never tested on our sons, on boys like me. My family opted out for me. But see, I'm a part of an experiment as well because I lived with my parents separated after my brother was born. My brother lived with my mother. I lived with my father. My father's family were Cuban. They don't believe in all the injections because my grandmother would say, well, we survived for how many years have humans been on Earth before these came out? I think you'll be fine without them. They didn't believe in giving unknown injections to children. And I say unknown because it's not like, do you know if you go to Colombia, you can buy a testing kit for drugs, for cocaine or something. You can buy drug testing kits where you can take the drug, put it on something, you put a dye, and you can look for the ingredients. We don't have anything like that for what they would call a vaccine. I say that because there's no proof that they even exist, because there's no way for us to verify what's in them. I know there's 135 of them that were for children. Okay, how do you choose which kids get which of the 135? Certain hospitals get certain ones and other hospitals get others. How did you guys divide up the hospitals? Is it based on the population? Which people, what demographic of people live in which areas? How did you guys divide up territory? Nobody ever asks these questions. Nobody knows. I just know where I'm from. All the boys, after they would take these shots, they wanted to join gangs and kill each other. Their brains would swell. I remember sitting in class and the teacher would ask a friend of mine to come read out loud at the board in 8th grade. The frustration of not being able to think clearly is something that I didn't suffer from. I would tutor kids as a basketball player on how to read in 11th grade. And they would have to put their finger under every word, not because they were dumb, but because to think too much would hurt. It would give them migraines. It would frustrate them. It would make them hyper emotional and aggressive and angry. I remember one of my friends, he flipped the desk over and stormed out of class when the teacher asked him to read something out loud. Later, he would tell me that teacher told him he would never be nothing. I said, no, that never happened. Literally, they asked you to read something out loud. I went up and read after you. The girls in the class could do it. It was always the boys that would have the inflammation of the brain and have the effects of these injections. It was never the girls. That's why Robert F. Kennedy also said that the entire vaccine schedule is a direct attack on black boys because they're testosterone reactive. In nature, the darker you are, the higher your testosterone levels. So that's why he said it's an attack on black boys. Apparently, the darker you are, they affect you completely different than everyone else. And that's proven. It's just not something widely talked about. It actually came out in 2020. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Dale Bigtree won a massive lawsuit. Remember, the reason Dale Bigtree had to create the high wire is because they kicked him and RFK Jr. off the internet because of this lawsuit. And what did the lawsuit, what did they win? Well, the court said out of 135, the court gave the pharmaceutical manufacturers, they said, just give us one that has ever been safety tested for children. Give us one, and we can throw their case out. They couldn't produce one out of almost 40 years. 40 years, they couldn't produce one study, one safety study that they were safe for kids. So they won. And after that, they were kicked off the internet. I say this to say Tyler Robinson is a victim of that. What I'm upset about is this. These are videos of Tyler Robinson reading his acceptance letter. But this isn't the full video. This is an edit. The full video starts from his mother speaking to him and giving him the letter. She's asking him to open the letter. They're starting 15 seconds into the video. This is 15 seconds, 20 seconds after. They pretty much scrubbed when his mother is speaking to him and he opens the letter. The part you're going to miss is that he's not really all there. He reads the letter, but the man is heavily autistic. He's not all the way there. Tyler Robinson mentally is where Raja Jackson, Rampage's son, is where he is. Have you ever noticed Rampage Jackson's son doesn't smile? And when Rampage makes jokes, he doesn't know if it's real or he can't distinguish. And then he attacked Psycho Stu in the ring. They're weapons because they can't separate reality from fiction because of their condition, which is induced by what happened to them as children. The swelling of the brain, it slows down your growth. So yeah, you'll have a 21-year-old body with a mental capacity of a 12-year-old. He reads this letter and then he looks up afterwards. He's like, yay, like he doesn't understand what's happening. And this is the year 2025. A man his age should have 100 videos on YouTube of him goofing around, talking to friends, hanging with buddies. There's nothing. There's nothing about Tyler Robinson because it would show his handicap. So that's why when people are trying to tell me that, oh yeah, he's got to be the guy. He doesn't have the mental capacity to pull this off. He's simple. This is something complicated. This is complex. You know, most people, their first time trying to unalive or kill somebody, they typically hurt themselves. It's not as easy as it thinks. Everybody's not capable of going somewhere, pulling a trigger, and then changing clothes and doing the James Bond, but yet MacGyver rolling off of buildings. Like none of that stuff is real. They're just telling you it's real. The FBI won't even show us the full tapes, even though now we can use AI and doctor them. But when the time counted in the very beginning, transparency would have been nice. They're transparent about everything else. I've watched how many other people have we watched die on video on Instagram, on Twitter? Plenty. Why would this be now all of a sudden you care about what people's families think? Since when? None of this makes sense. This is him reading his acceptance letter for a scholarship for $32,000. This is why I don't believe he had anything to do with what they're saying. He doesn't have the capacity for it.
Okay. Congratulations. You have been selected to receive the Resident Presidential Scholarship from Utah State University. The value of this scholarship is approximately $32,000. This scholarship is available for 4 years or 8 semesters.
He's not there. I've been around kids that were autistic. A lot of my friends that were gang members and that would go to prison for life because they would lose their tempers. They had these issues, but it was never anything complicated. They would be somewhere, you would step on their Jordans, they pull out a gun. They'd be at a party, a girl that they had a crush on would talk to another guy, he pulls out a gun. It was never him going across the street, setting up a perch to shoot somebody. It doesn't, none of this is not their MO. And I say there because a lot of these kids nowadays, when they're autistic and they go to school, the teachers It's like they have a mandate when your teacher is a leftist, or they now work with the LGBTQ community, and that's how they recruit. They notice which kids are socially awkward because of their mental condition, because of the autism. And they talk to these kids and they embrace them because they're socially awkward. They don't really fit in with other kids. But these people prey on them and they'll tell them, you know what, maybe you're not autistic. Maybe you're just gay. You're not autistic. Maybe you're just trans. And that's how they recruit your sons. Now, they want you to believe that there was like this gay love story with another boy who's a furry and yada yada. And don't get me wrong, it makes sense that that would be a good setup because that is a very common thing. Convincing autistic kids that they're gay. And then the only person, girls aren't going to really date you as a guy. So another guy pretending to be a girl, pretending to like you. Some people just need love. They'll take it from wherever they can get it. Yeah, he would want to protect them from Charlie. And we can't ask this furry. He's in the wind. Nobody knows where he's at. Can't find him. I don't think this guy had anything to do with it. Neither does Candace. So eventually he'll be exonerated. And we're going to be right back where we are now. Because they don't have the evidence to convict him. There's no confession. There's no video proof. It's just speculation at this point. Circumstantial. Well, he typed this in a group. Man, we don't know who edited those chats. We don't know who edited those texts. We don't. But let's go back to this Candace video and let's speak about what her observations were. Remember, listen to her voice. She's the only one who loved Charlie. And it breaks my heart to see this because as I can tell that this is not easy for her. Yeah, she's married. She has a husband now with kids. He has kids with another wife. But when I say soulmates, it's not just about like a relationship. It's more like kindred spirits in a way. You know, they were on the same page. They had a matching intellect and they were extremely close. So this was somebody who she loved and trusted, and she knew he was genuine in a world where everybody around you is fake, where everybody around you is untrustworthy. And if you die on video, everybody you know will turn their back on you and pretend they didn't see what they saw. Because to speak out would be inconvenient. Oh, what if you lose your job? Well, the camera guy didn't want to give her the footage. The camera guy who immediately, they don't know if it's an active shooter. They don't know if Charlie's just the first person and the guy's going to pull out a machine gun like in Vegas. They don't know, right? But yet all these people are just standing around pretending because they knew this was an assassin. They knew it wasn't an active shooter. They just knew. They knew. How they know? Nobody knows. But yet Candace is the only one still here pointing out that these people were fake all around Charlie, people who he pays. But that means everyone's for sale too. These people don't want to give her the footage. Oh, maybe they don't want to lose their jobs. They work for Turning Point and they know that the Israeli donors hate Candace. Well, then if they hate Candace, they hated Charlie too. There's no way you can hate Candace. Then all of a sudden, Charlie starts saying the same stuff that Candace is saying, but you like him. You just think he's misguided. So Candace isn't misguided, right? Only Charlie's misguided. Candace is persona non grata. She's not allowed in the Continental Hotel anymore on the grounds, but Charlie's allowed, even though they're saying the same thing. And I hate the fact that people are afraid to put themselves out there and talk about it. We can't have conversations anymore. I'm going to let Candace talk. I'm sorry. I've been talking a lot. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I see people leaving comments and have been sharing the video. Thank you very much, everyone. But we, and honestly, if any of you become people of prominence and something like this happens to you, just know somebody like me will get on a mic and we are going to make sure we find out what really happened to you. I would want somebody to do that for me, for someone I loved. Candace is the only person apparently doing this for Charlie. I haven't seen Erica since.
Rubbing me the wrong way. And I'm going to tell you why that's rubbing me the wrong way in a little bit. But the bigger thing is that he says Mikey had blood all over him. except Mikey did not have blood anywhere near him because Mikey was behind the tent when Charlie got shot. And Mikey, in less than a second, does something that I find to be quite strange.
Do me a favor, everyone like the video. I'm on YouTube right now, streaming live. If you can, the Single Boyfriend on YouTube. If you can, come into the channel and like it. It helps. Apparently, it helps YouTube put me into the algorithm and show my content to more people. This is a very important video. This is a good breakdown. If you're somebody who follows me, then you appreciated the kind of work Charlie Kirk was doing. So we want to spread the message and we want to figure out what really happened to him. The official story is not just crumbling. It already went up in flames. It's over. Tyler Robinson will be exonerated. There's no evidence against him at all. You can hold on to that BS if you want to, then this isn't going to be the right chat for you. We're looking for people that are thinkers, people who have the capacity for critical thought. There are people that me having this conversation with them will scare them and give them a headache, and they don't want to think about it. There are people that are, like I said, damaged by what happened to them as children. This isn't for you. For those of us who still have complete mental capacity, this is for us. Let's share this for people of like mind, and let's get some answers.
He puts his phone to his ear and he begins a conversation. So we're going to watch that clip in its entirety. Mark is going to bring it in.
By the way, that's the black dude I was talking about. That's him.
Conversation. So we're going to watch that clip in its entirety. Mark is going to bring it in.
Never noticed this guy till now. Never noticed there was a black dude standing next to the camera. But watch his face once he hears, you hear the crack, but you see Charlie's shirt jump up. What makes his shirt jump? If you're hit in the neck, why would your shirt jump? It's as if there was something that he was mic'd underneath his shirt. Something, there is a device underneath the shirt, and it was pointed at his neck, and the shirt moved when the device activated. But this guy's face right here, he seems like he saw something and he took off. The rest of the guys, it makes no sense, their behavior. The black dude was the only one that was actually probably not supposed to be there that was genuinely surprised. But let's listen.
So we decided to slow this clip down, and we're going to watch this clip slow down so you can see that it is exactly 834 milliseconds from the time that you hear the shot. That is how long it takes for Mikey McCoy to put the phone to his ear. Now, why is that precise timing so important? Because there's no dialing. Mikey didn't have time to dial, okay? You can't dial and put your phone to an ear in 0.834 seconds. The next time that you're going to see Mikey McCoy, as we just showed you, is in just under 2.5 seconds on the other side of the tent. He's on a phone call. So we can track Mikey, but let's watch the clip again in milliseconds so you really grasp how quickly this transpires.
So let's look for Mikey. He's right. Apparently he's right here behind the guy with the camera.
So when this clip was brought, there we go. We're tracking that. Yeah.
That's another problem I have. This fucking guy right here, the guy that jumps over the table for nothing. Let me see here. Guy jumps over a table at Charlie. Let's see here. Now, and even these videos, they're rough. They're throwing him out of the chair. They're pulling him down, but they don't know if it's an active shooter or not. None of them are taking off their glasses to look at his injury. They're laying him on the side where he was hit. So it's like they're trying to pour the blood out instead of laying him on the other side and putting pressure on it to keep it in. Everything they did was like a horrible idea. It's like if you're spilling something and you turn the glass upside down, why would you do that? But this guy slid over the table. Then he exchanges something with another person and he takes off. Why did he slide over the table for nothing? For nothing. There was nothing for him to do sliding over that table. And this is another slow down version of it. This guy with the flannel shirt. There he goes. He exchanges something with this other guy, and then he takes off. He slides over that table, grabs something from another guy. He doesn't check on Charlie. He doesn't go to look at him. He doesn't take off his shades so that he can get a better look at what's going on. No one takes off their shirt to try to apply pressure to stop the bleeding. Everybody takes off. These guys all surround Charlie so he's covered so nobody can see anything. And then this guy magically disappears. That's what Candace is referring to.
When the clip was brought to my attention, I obviously have a file, a big folder of files of every angle, and I decided to track Mikey from every angle available to see, like, maybe we just missed it. And he did at some point put that phone down, dial a number, speed dial, hold down one. I don't know. Maybe we missed it.
In my opinion, it looks like somebody called him right when it happened. He gave them a report that mission accomplished or clear, or he let them know a code word and he took off. Because as fast as, how are you with Charlie? How are you a part of TPUSA? You see this happen to your boss and you just walk out of the scene like nothing ever happens. See, you're going to see him exiting over here. Right there. He just walks off with it. He puts his earplugs in his ear and he just walks off. Mission accomplished.
Files of every angle, and I decided to track Mikey from every angle available to see, like, maybe we just missed it. And he did at some point put that phone down, dial a number, speed dial, hold down one. I don't know. Maybe we missed.
And that's the beautiful thing about Candace. She'll tell you, I don't know, but at least let's ask. Why isn't everybody so interested or curious into ask questions about what actually happened? Okay, you got a phone call. Who were you talking to? You watch that happen to Charlie. It's not like you're ducking down and trying to run from the scene because it's an active shooter. Everybody's literally just kind of standing around. No one even assumes that it's an active shooter. It's like they knew there was one target and everybody else felt very comfortable. And the only time anyone drew weapons is to make sure the crowd didn't get too close. It's not like they were pointing their weapons up to see if they can shoot someone on the roof or return fire. They were literally just trying to keep the crowd away from the cameras or from getting a really good look at the crime scene. You know, they're letting everybody walk to and fro. No law enforcement or security showed up to secure the crime scene. You know, I'm from LA. I've been to many a club, many a party, many events where people were shot and killed. I know what a crime scene is, and I know you're not allowed to walk through it. I know someone's going to show up and block it off. Yellow tape. Pictures are going to be taken, evidence collected. It seems like all normal protocol on this day just out the window. Kind of like how the laws of physics were suspended on 9/11, but on this day also, it seems like this was like what do they always say is going on? Oh, we're doing a test today. You know, I remember on 9/11, they were like, wait a minute, is this the real thing or is this the test? Because today we have a simulation. You know, for the Boston Marathon, they were also doing a simulation on what they would do if there was a terrorist attack. The same thing on 9/11. They were like, oh, is this a simulation or is this something real? It seems like maybe some of these people were like, look, we're going to do a mock simulation where we're going to practice getting them out of here. Something goes wrong. And it seems like some people knew it was real. Other people thought it was part of the simulation. That's why they felt so calm. We got to ask,
missed it? Because that seems automatic, right? 0.834. That seems pretty quick. And no, he doesn't do that. We even have him in front of Charlie's car when Charlie is brought to the car, the waiting car rather. He is still on the phone. And I can show you the clip of that. Take a look at this. Don't worry, we'll slow it down for you. See him in the background with the backpack. It's Mikey McCoy. Okay. So what are we to make of that? The only logical conclusion that I can come up with, and many others, because I said play devil's advocate. I want you to advocate for Mikey McCoy. I want you to play lawyer, and you are representing your client, Mikey McCoy. What was he do? How did he do it this quickly? No one could win this game. The only logical conclusion we come up with was that Mikey was already on a phone call at 12:23 p.m. By 12:23 p.m., he was already on a phone call. So I said, let's go back a little earlier in the footage and see if we can find when he actually maybe dials onto the phone. Maybe we can see him pick up the phone and begin a call before the shot takes off. And then after beginning that call, if we're following this logic, that would mean he puts his phone down until Charlie gets shot. And we were able to find what we think could be that moment. And I can tell you that it is 1 minute and 45 seconds approximately before that shot goes off. And we can watch that here. See Mikey's on his phone here. And you're going to see he pulls it up and he starts to cover his ear again. Now, that could be unrelated. Again, we're taking a guess here. That's what made the most sense to us because we couldn't justify it in any other way. And I want to be clear, we're not here to make assumptions, okay? And we wouldn't have to make any assumptions if Turning Point USA could just tell the truth. They could just be open and they could be honest about everything. Okay, I obviously went out to both Mikey McCoy and Andrew Colvett for a statement, asked those two questions. Hey, who were you on the phone with? What's going on here? No response. Weird. Because if that was me and I saw clips going viral and people were drawing conclusions from that clip, thinking that I was already on the phone, thinking that my reaction was weird, I would instantly hit back. I'd say, here's my call log. You want to know who I was on the phone with? 911, obviously. I was freaking out. I called 911. I didn't know what I was doing. Here's my phone. Here's my whole call log for that day.
She's also absolutely right about that. Unfortunately, I'm worried these people, they want you to think these people are afraid to give Candace the footage because, there was multiple. See, the footage we're seeing now are just amateur footage from cell phones. There were several professional cameras in front of Charlie Kirk, news stations. There was a professional camera behind him that was hanging up above him. All of that footage was taken immediately by the people from TPUSA, well, by the guy that owns the company. And he keeps coming up with these weird excuses for why he doesn't want to send Candace the footage. He says he doesn't know how to send large files, yada, yada. Jesse on Fire, he said that it's probably because the guy doesn't want to get fired. I don't think it's about money. I think he's more, because think about it. What else is TPUSA going to be recording going forward? Who's going to be the new Charlie? Who's going to show up to events? I mean, he's probably going to be out of work anyway. I think he's afraid. You got to think about it. Charlie was somebody important. If you can do that to him in broad daylight and everybody's looking at the wrong person, if you know that there's another group behind this that could put that together against him, then you could be next and there'll be no questions asked. I think these people are afraid, and the only person who's not afraid is Candace. Some of us don't have this spirit of fear. I always tell people, I'm not fearful of death. Death is easy. Life is hard. Getting up every day, tending to your responsibilities, paying bills every month. Life is hard. Navigating the world and trying to prevent yourself from dying or going to jail. It's not easy. But death is simple. It's a release. You're free from all of this. Some of us don't have that fear of death. So we just move forward. Depending on who you're dealing with at TPUSA and how afraid they are, that's what's going to keep them in line, why they don't want to cooperate, and why they're not going to. There should be, with as many people who love Charlie Kirk around the world, there should be a good 100, maybe 500 different Candace Owens who are literally breaking down these videos, asking questions publicly, putting themselves out there. But unfortunately, there's only one. And then there's those of us who come in here and we parrot her talking points and we promote her and we try to put more eyes on her content because we're also fighting the same fight. There should be more. Charlie Kirk's wife should be doing what Candace is doing. But instead, she is MIA. Either missing in action or maybe in Miami. She's $18 million richer or more just from one day. I think at his funeral, TPUSA profited $25 million, insurance policies, these. And think about it. For some of these lower level people, if you just shut the fuck up when all these questions are being asked right now, you just stay quiet. One day you might wake up and now you're a millionaire because you played ball. There's a reward for people that keep their mouths shut. Why do you think everybody hates snitches so much? No one wants to talk because there's a financial incentive in there also, but there is a consequence if you talk too much. If you talk to Candace, not only will you be fired, but they'll probably destroy you and your family. I mean, they just took out Charlie and blamed it on some autistic gay kid who probably has no idea what's really even going on. He realizes he's in jail, but he doesn't understand why. He thinks it's probably all just a game. He doesn't get it. He reminds me of Mangione, right? You don't really see them doing any public speaking, just guys. And they are just simple, confused, just like, okay, I'll just go sit here. I'll just eat my lunch. And, they're just floating. They have no idea what's going on. They can't talk for themselves because then you'd realize that their IQ is under 60. But they're not so slow they're going to just walk in the street when it's a red light and just get hit by a bus. They're not. They're coherent enough to not do that. But anything more complicated is going to be difficult. There should be more Candaces. We should not be the only ones doing this. This should be on the news, but it's not. So here we are. That's why I ask you to share my content, to leave comments, and let's keep going.
But this is, I don't know. I guess we live in a world where that doesn't make sense. I would have issued a statement to dispel any rumors, but they have not. Here's what I want to say, and I honestly, I understand I'm preaching to the choir here. Everything about this is wrong. You know it, and I know it. But I actually know it better than most because I helped build that organization. And that's why I am almost the perfect person to discern what is normal and what is abnormal in terms of what happened at that college campus event. In fact, when I did my tribute to Charlie, this is unbelievable. Remember, just after he died, I posted a video to my friend Charlie Kirk, and I shared a clip of him at a college event, and he and I were laughing, and I'm going to show you that clip in a second. And I said, I don't even know which college this is when I showed the clip because I didn't know what college it was. And unbelievably, it was UVU. I kid you not. Let's rewatch that clip.
If you aren't wealthy, white, and male, Charlie Kirk is not your friend. What do you think? Are we not friends? Is that right?
Find out. It's not going to find out. A sign outside of a thing, an event that we just did. Yeah. You're not my friend.
Go figure.
It's unbelievable that of all the clips we picked that, and I had no idea it was UVU.
UVU is the university where he was shot at. What are the odds of that? The reason Candace Owens is someone you have to take seriously is because she's right. She went on college tours with Charlie Kirk and TPUSA for 6 years before going to the Daily Wire. She knows all the procedures. She knows how they worked. She's watched them put up the stands and take them down. She knows how the camera guys work. She knew the entire staff. That's why she can tell you that none of this was normal that happened that day. All the procedures out the window. None of it makes any sense. And like she said, she is the perfect person to ask these questions because she knows better. The rest of us are on the outside looking in. She was actually on the inside. She knows how all this works. But then again, where is Erica Kirk right now? Why isn't she doing a joint live with Candace Owens asking questions? Even if she believes Tyler was a shooter, this would be a perfect opportunity for her to speak to somebody else that loves him, and they could have done a tribute together. But she's nowhere to be found because the truth is not her priority. This is a war for the truth, and we're fighting it. And this is how we fight, with videos, with content, and by informing the public about the truth of what happened and dispelling the lies that are put out in the media.
The point is that I hit college campuses with Charlie Kirk for 6 years. I don't believe that there is a single living, breathing person who has spoken at more college campuses alongside Charlie Kirk than me. So I knew that things were weird when I saw first and foremost, the camera guy, the one who takes down the camera. Seeing him lingering alongside Charlie at the event flagged me as weird immediately. Okay. That's why I reached out when people saw him taking down the camera. I said, what is this? Why are you here? Literally, why are you standing next to Charlie? I've never at any college event ever in 6 years had that man standing next to me at an event. Okay.
Notice how they're all wearing black shades. All of them. Yeah, of course, it's a bright sunny day, but everyone got the memo. The security staff, the camera guy, the other guys that were working with him. Literally, these people are sliding over tables. Never once does anyone's glasses fall off. Everyone is like, it's like they're all on script. It's like they're all just a part of a performance. And we watch them exit stage left.
Sometimes he wasn't even there. Other times, of course, when you are in AV, your job is to be somewhere quiet. Your job is to have on like headphones to make sure the audio is good. Maybe the idea that they're miking, the person running a company is miking you up, is completely absurd. I didn't like it. It felt new to me. And you know what? When I called him, things got pretty weird. He acknowledged that a lot of new stuff was happening on that day. And I inquired to him immediately about the subtle changes that I recognized. And the thing that struck me as wrong was that he lied to me. I don't know why he was lying to me, but a lot of the things that he said didn't make sense. And I'm going to speak more thoroughly about what it was that he said, because obviously I recorded the phone call. I, of course, asked him why he took down the cameras so quickly. I asked him to, first and foremost, simply show me the phone.
Mind you, this is less than 7 minutes, I believe, after Charlie was hit. This is immediately after. He's standing on the chair. It could be the chair Charlie was sitting in. And he's now taking down the camera. Again, they don't know if this is an active shooter. But all of these people are exposed, and they're just now, do. Let's take down these cameras. Let's grab the memory cards, and then let's leave. Now, there was one guy with a gun that was keeping people away from the cameras to let him take them down. So that was their priority, not to secure the scene, not to go look for whoever was on the roof. Why would you take, if you can see the angle this came from, why would you assume some old guy within the crowd could even pull it off? Some guy with his pants down. Very weird. But here he is, several minutes after Charlie Kirk was shot, removing the cameras and removing the memory cards specifically, so that the footage wouldn't get into the hands of somebody that was not controlled by TPUSA. And their BS excuse, oh, what about Erica reliving it? There's thousands of people with their cameras rolling right in front of you. There's already footage. So that would make a difference. Why don't you want us to use those professional cameras that are not grainy to see everything? And this is the problem when you don't have transparency. Questions come up.
footage because that's all I wanted to do. I'm thinking again, we're all going to get the band back together and solve this murder. And it got weird. It got really weird. I said, I just want to like see the footage so I can debunk. I know that you don't want to put more footage out there. That's fine. But like, just show me the footage so I can debunk all these internet conspiracies that you were hiding something. I was not suspicious of Turning Point at all, actually, when I called. And I asked him again, like, what's the reason? What's the reason for taking down the cameras quickly? Why hasn't the footage been released? Let me see it. And he told me that he had spoken only to Erica and the feds that he had regarding the footage. That is, he specifically told me that, as I said earlier, that he had secured that footage because he wanted to prevent Erica, as I told you, from having to relive that moment. And that made entirely no sense to me. I told you guys, because we all can watch Charlie Kirk be murdered over and over and over and over and over again. So how are you sparing any emotions here by taking down the back footage? And then it made even less sense to me and appeared to me as a lie once I saw the footage on FaceTime, when I realized that there was no blood on Charlie. It was the least traumatizing footage of all. Why be so secretive about it? He then told me that he needed to speak with Turning Point lawyers first to see about releasing the footage. I said, okay, fine. I let him take a couple of days off, and then we got back on the phone. And I said, look, it's kind of a BS excuse too, because you run your own company and the footage is owned by you. He then said, okay, yeah, I do own the footage. I just wanted, just coordinate, check, whatever. Okay. Kind of a lie number 2-ish. Then he said something that really bothered me. He said,
even if you're being paid by Turning Point to be there, if you own the footage, then you own it. Footage is leaked all the time. It gets out to news agencies. This is to a friend who's trying to figure out what actually happened. Why does Turning Point want to keep all this footage? Now, there's already footage of Kirk passing, of being hit. That's already out there. What do they want to keep this other footage secret for? And why aren't the investigators from our law enforcement pressuring them to get it back? Is that happening behind the scenes? I don't know. It doesn't seem like anything is happening behind the scenes. It seems like everything has just been accepted and moved on. I've lost so much faith in Cash and Dan. I feel like they were only put in these positions just to be embarrassed. They spent so much time fighting for the truth. And then all of a sudden they're in a position of power. And it seems like now they're just being humiliated and their hands are tied and they can't do anything. Or they're in on whatever, trying to keep this little secret. It's hard to tell right now. It really is. But I'm disappointed in both of them because Candace is doing their job.
I don't know how to send the footage. Like the file was too large. Oh, I was born yesterday. So you run an entire AV company and you don't know how to send footage.
I don't even own it. I own a very small media company. I work in tech. Literally, we have Dropbox. He could have, and I'm sure he has a Dropbox. Everybody does. He could have put the video in Dropbox, then Candace the link, made it private, and she could have watched all the footage herself. There was no need for it to be very complicated where you got to put them in a zip file, upload it to Dropbox. It would have been that simple.
That didn't smell right to me. It got even more bizarre. He told me, and this is when I was extremely uncomfortable. He said, after I offered, you can just use WeTransfer. He said, I don't want to just send the footage over the internet that's behind Charlie's head because I'm worried that Google might hack me. I swear on everything I love. That's what he told me. He was afraid that Google was going to hack him. So at this,
it seems again like he's afraid of something, but whoever he's afraid of, they didn't even call him to tell him some good talking points, and they didn't even tell him not to answer her calls. They're just assuming that he knows what to do if he knows what's good for him. They're not even coordinating with it. Because my thing is, if Candace is such a threat to you, why are you even taking her calls? You could have just blocked her and ignored her calls and just, whatever. The fact that he's still answering means that nobody told him not to. And I guess they're just expecting him to just know. No one has to call you. No one has to threaten you. You just know what to do at a certain point sometimes. I'm just shocked that he's even answering her calls and giving her these nonsensical excuses. And again, in my opinion, it's not because he's worried about losing a job working with Turning Point. I don't think they're going to be doing much production anymore. But seems like he's afraid of something else. And it's not about getting hacked by Google. I'm sure he's being worried about getting hacked by someone else. And I'm talking about physically hacked with a hatchet.
This moment I got a little bit, I looked at my team and I started snapping across the table and I was like, I said to them, literally, guilty of something. I don't know. This is weird. What a stupid lie. I mean, what do you mean just Google? So I said to him, let's just pretend that does happen. For whatever reason, Sergey Brin is sitting around and he's going, I want to hack this person because I want to.
Now, earlier, Jesse on Fire, he was saying, well, Candace is saying, he's got to be guilty of something. Well, yeah, Jesse, it sounds like he's guilty of tampering with evidence. Even if he owns the footage, if it's potentially evidence in a murder case and he's not releasing it or it is being edited at all, that's tampering with evidence. That is a crime. So technically, she is still correct, Jesse. Now, not to say Jesse's wrong. I don't know him. But again, these are fair questions that Candace is bringing up. And instead of being devil's advocate, why not look for ways for this to make sense instead of coming up for more ways where it doesn't make sense? It doesn't make sense that he's tampering. And if somebody who cares about Charlie's asking for footage, why not release it? This footage should be somewhere safe. But in my opinion, it should also be public. He had a lot of people that loved him and we're trying to figure out what happened. And right now we don't know. My first video was about Tyler Robinson because that was the reporting. I nothing else about Tyler Robinson now is even adding up. None of it. So eventually, with the right lawyer, he'll be exonerated. And we'll be right back where we are today. So we might as well just stay here and stay on the topic. Let's just assume he's already beat the case. What will we do then? And let's move forward from there.
See footage behind Charlie's head. Does it. Whatever. And then he gives the footage to Fox News, CNN, and they play it. And what happens after that? I said to him, I know what happens after. We all get to see Charlie Kirk die from a different angle. We've seen it die from 1,000 different angles. Like what is actually changing if Google hacks you? A weird thing to say. I also asked him who he was on the phone with after Charlie got shot. And he told me, and I kid you not, he was on the phone with the ops that were back in Arizona watching. And I said, what ops? We don't have people back in Arizona watching when we do college campus events. Is that something new? He said, yes, it is new. In fact, this was the first time we were doing it. He said there were two ops that were watching it back in Arizona. And he told me that the reason that they were doing it was because, Candace, he said, Charlie, he was so ambitious and it wasn't fast enough that it was all being live streamed. He wanted people to live cut the clips so that they could be the first people to get it on the internet. He didn't want to, he's like, not even a second to be wasted.
For those of us who are not necessarily familiar, I'll explain to you what his excuse was. It's called click farming. So when you look at Kai Cenat and you look at iShowSpeed and these new age streamers, the real money is not necessarily in them streaming all day. There's big money in the guys who watch their streams live, and every 30 minutes, they use software and they clip little 30-second clips from their 8-hour stream, and then they post those clips and they get views and they make money. There's a lot of money in clip farming. That seems like a good excuse that all of a sudden Charlie wanted to start his own clip farming. So he was going to have people watching the video live in Arizona and just doing clips. And then they put the clips out first. Apparently that's what this guy's saying. This seems like this guy was not being coached by anyone. He's kind of just shooting from the hip, or he's just speaking so that if he ever is pressed or approached by somebody from TPUSA, he can say, I was just being honest. That's what I was told. So really, they can't really fault him for speaking to Candace, because I didn't know I wasn't supposed to say that. I mean, it doesn't seem like that's something incriminating. But for this to be the first time they ever did that, it more so seems like there was a spotter on the phone that wanted to just make sure that this happened the way it was supposed to. And just because of where he was hit, it seems like it almost missed. Because if you wanted to be sure about it, you would have had it right here. Whatever, if there was an air actual, if there was something under his shirt that charged that made the shirt jump, if there was like an ignition and it moved the shirt, it was supposed to go here, but it missed and it hit here. That's how it looked to me. You know, if they did mic him and they put something under his shirt and the thing jumped and it jerked and it moved, it seems like it maybe moved a little bit and it wasn't his exact target, but it still did the job. Whoever was on the other side, it seems like they had foresight that this was going to happen. It kind of reminds me of Butler, Pennsylvania. You know, that was the first Trump rally CNN ever showed up for to do a live feed from. Magically, the one rally where someone was scheduled to take out our, you know, this is our president. Was he a president-elect, or are you still in the campaign last year? It's all starting to just look a little bit too convenient, and it's all starting to be connected. Because if you think about it, what was the profile of the Butler shooter? Nobody knows. He was some gay trans kid. What a weird coincidence. So is the guy they're trying to frame for Charlie Kirk. I guess we shouldn't notice that. But we know more about Tyler Robinson than we do about the guy in Butler, let's be honest. And I think that's weird that Trump's not pointing that out too. He should be talking about, I've heard him talk worse about Rosie O'Donnell for years and years and years than he is about the guy that tried to kill him in Butler, Pennsylvania. I think that's weird too.
So live streaming, which everybody can watch, but they were racing some people to get the clips out faster than anybody else because Charlie's ambitious. Now, I got a little suspicious, and he could sense that I was now growing increasingly suspicious with every random thing that he was saying. He sent me a video that I didn't ask for. I wanted to see the footage. He then sends me a video. And I guess this was supposed to work as some sort of an alibi. I don't know if he thought that I thought that he shot Charlie. I certainly did not think that he was involved in pulling a trigger and killing Charlie Kirk. I actually don't know why this video, I don't know what this video could have done that he sent me other than to make me feel even more uncomfortable. Because the video he sent me is quite shocking. It's also the reason that I knew that Tyler Boyer was lying when he tweeted, this guy was commanded by the police to take down the cameras. He's lying because I have every minute of what this guy was doing, thanks to him having sent it to me, okay? Every minute of what he was doing before he took those cameras down. And there are only 4 minutes, by the way, before he takes those cameras down. So he's next to, and he is in front of Mikey McCoy when Charlie gets shot. Now, to his credit, he actually did see Charlie get shot. He saw in like a split second, sees Charlie bleeding and runs, and doesn't run very far. He just runs a couple of yards away. Now,
you guys this is probably the most damning thing about this entire situation. This is footage that I've never seen, and I thought I saw everything about this kid. I didn't see this footage. But you're going to notice something else. He's also wearing the shades. There's no tears in his eyes. He's not wiping his eyes. He's not sad. And this is supposed to be a friend of Charlie. He keeps the black shades on, just like everybody else. The camera guys, security people, anybody that was working that day for TPUSA, they all had their shades on. You can tell which people didn't work for them because they were wearing no glasses or just regular clear glasses. These people were all wearing dark shades. So watch this next guy she's going to bring up. This is actually, this whole video is just going to be about this guy, but I'm going to let her introduce him.
mention that the camera guy, he too was also brought into the company by Tyler Boyer. Okay. And you have worked with Charlie for this long, over a decade, and you watch Charlie Kirk get shot. What do you do?
I would think people would be, even if you're a man, you would cry if you liked him. If he was a friend that you worked with for 10 years, if it was a friend for 2 years and you watched him die in front of you, a normal human would get emotional. Unless it was somebody you didn't like. You tolerate these people because you work together, but you don't really like these people. You know, there's a lot of people that were around Charlie that probably hated him. I had no idea the hate for him was so thick. Different people have different reasons for hating him. Black people hate him because he said, because of DEI, I don't know if when I see a black pilot, if he was actually qualified based on the merits or if he's only a pilot because of diversity quotas, which is a fucking fair question. How would you know? And that's the problem with the UI. But then there's other people that would work with Charlie. They look normal, but they're gay, or they have, or they're MAPS, minor attracted people who like children. Charlie speaks out against that. In a way, he's talking about you, but you work there and see you secretly like kids. You're not public with it. And you were just starting to notice the public was starting, there were laws that were getting passed to decriminalize your acts with children. And then somebody like Charlie and Donald Trump, they start speaking about how they decriminalized that in California, where if you're caught with a kid, you no longer have to register as a sex offender if the kid also identifies as gay, if you're of the same gender. But you work around somebody like Charlie, and when something happens to him, you're happy. Because if the laws don't change and you're actually arrested for that, you're going to go to prison. And we all know what they do to people in prison that like kids. So when these people are saying, well, Charlie Kirk was trying to kill me, Donald Trump's trying to kill me, what they mean is that the laws that would arrest them, that Trump and Kirk were pushing for against pedophiles, they will end up in prison and die. They're just leaving out the other steps, but they're not telling you how it equates to their death, but that's how. That's why they were so threatened by Kirk and by Trump. And they still are. And they have every right to be. People, you'll be surprised how many people just don't know what's going on. I'm from California. You know how many people I knew that had an idea that they decriminalized being caught with kids if you're an adult sexually? Most of my friends had no idea. Most people in the country didn't know. And do you know that would set a precedent, and they were actually, and that precedent was moving east. Other states were starting to vote on it. And they were starting to say, well, these laws do inadvertently or disproportionately affect the gay community more than other communities. So instead of just saying, hey, if you being gay includes you having to break the law with kids, then you're going to just go to jail. But instead of that, to be more tolerant, they want to change the laws. And most people didn't know that until Kirk would talk about it on his college tours. And Trump brought it up. Now I'm bringing it up, and now you know. And you know what's funny? You're going to be having this conversation in the future, and you'll know how to simply explain it to someone else, because I didn't make it complicated. Look it up in California. They didn't legalize pedophilia. They just decriminalized it, where you no longer have to end up on the sex offenders list, which is pretty much kind of the worst thing. I mean, you could be a murderer, but there's no list of a murderer. Once you get out of jail for murder, you're out. But to be on that list follows you. That little red dot that shows up on a map showing that your neighbor's with a sex offender. That's a big deal. And what they were saying is that there were too many gay men showing up on that because too many gay men are being caught with kids. So instead of changing the gay men, having them change their behavior, we're just going to change the law. Now you can, this is the threat right here. I explained it to you simply. I broke it down very easy to understand. Now you can easily explain it to others. Now you see why we don't like Democrats, because they target kids. And we don't like that. I mean, I don't know. I thought all people shared the same ideology when it came to protecting kids, and we don't. We don't all share the same sentiment. We don't. So when I see this guy in this video, he doesn't seem too upset about Charlie. It seems like somebody, he knew what to say. He was the first person to ever say Charlie was dead, but how would you know? How would you know he's dead? They could have stabilized him. He could have been saved. It could have just been a bad looking wound. You didn't know. This was within a couple of seconds after it happened. I'll let Candace finish. I'm sorry, I just have a lot to say because this means a lot to me too.
What would you do? I'm asking you this question at home. What would you do? I say two things that are pretty commonplace, right? You choose between fight or flight. You run towards him or you run away, and you run away far because you don't know what's happening. Is it one shot? Are there multiple people? Are you being pursued? There's no way to process that. If you are going to be in flight, you should be sprinting and maybe calling 911. That's what I would have done if I wanted to run away and not towards Charlie to make sure he's okay. But this second close friend of Charlie chose to run just a few yards away up to a grassy knoll.
I'll be honest, I bet you this guy, when they do the research, I bet you he's closer with Josh Hammer than he ever was with Charlie. Tells me a lot.
To take out his phone. A couple of seconds later, he takes out his phone and he begins recording himself. It's a selfie video. Takes a video of himself.
Nobody makes a selfie video when there's a tragedy that you're trying to get on tape. I remember watching the guy in Las Vegas that got killed with his wife on the strip in front of Bellagio by his name was Sin City Manny, shot a guy named Finney and his wife. They're also from Arizona. The first thing that happened when Sin City Manny shot Finney was Finney's wife, literally, because they were live streaming, she grabbed the camera. Instead of running away from the guy who was executing her husband, she decided to grab the camera to get more footage. This guy literally made a selfie. He didn't even want to record what was happening. I don't understand the purpose of him pulling out a camera and making a selfie video of him not really reacting and wearing shades the whole time. I don't understand the purpose of that. It seems like they just wanted, somebody told him to make a little bit of footage saying that he's dead and send it. It's like they're trying to build up this, the kid they interviewed is one of the kids that follows Charlie. They like stalk him. The dad works for the Jay Leno show. There's like all these weird things happening, but you know what? Let's go through this next. I want you to see what Candace is talking about. Look at this guy. He keeps the shades on the entire time, just like everybody else. All of them. The guy that slides over the table doesn't take his glasses off and try to look what they can do to help. They all just keep their shades on. It's weird.
So let's watch that video.
They just shot Charlie. They just shot Charlie. They just shot Charlie.
What a perfect vantage point to magically run to. Now, he's not looking for cover. He's not trying to make sure he's safe or anything. Other people are ducking down, but this guy's standing straight up making a selfie video. But he just got a few seconds of this, right, of Charlie going into them allegedly taking Charlie to the car, but that's it. Look at the shades.
They just shot Charlie.
Why are you not recording the chaos? Why are you making us look at you? Why are you recording your face, wearing your shades, talking very little? Why aren't you recording everything that's happening around you for historical reference? People pull out their phones for everything, and they're not literally recording themselves. What the fuck? None of this is None of this makes sense. It's all weird. It's not normal. None of this is made. It's not that it's even normal. People are, what is normal? None of this makes any sense to do. Horrible acting, by the way. I wouldn't even book him for Tubi. I wouldn't put him on a Tubi. I wouldn't put him in a Tyler Perry play. He's a horrible actor, and this is acting. This is performative. This is Erica Kirk is a way better actress than this guy. I don't know if he got the last of the budget or if he was just somebody they booked last minute, but it seems like everybody around Charlie was in on it, and they all had their different reasons for being against Charlie. Either their maps, either they were in it for the money, either everyone had their, I mean, there's a lot of money floating around. Everyone had their reasons. And it seems like he was none the wiser. Again, it was like he was Truman. And he was Truman in the Truman Show.
He's dead. God help him.
How do you know he's dead, sir? You just seen him get put into a car, but you turned the camera to yourself, so we can't, because they say that Charlie was so tall they couldn't close the doors because his feet were sticking out. But I didn't see that. I seen the front door closed, and he put the camera back on himself, and I couldn't tell if I didn't see any more. He just keeps the camera on himself. You hear all this screaming, yelling in the background. Why aren't you trying to get that footage? Why? World star hip hop has better cameramen than this guy. Now, everybody else seems to be running away from where the shooting was, but not him. Not him. He's not crying. I'm not saying all men are emotional and every man's going to be crying. He wasn't moved. It's like he knew what to expect.
That's the first time it was announced, actually, that Charlie Kirk was dead. Kind of weird. Go ahead, catch your breath, hit rewind, watch it again, watch it over.
Do me a favor, everybody. Like the video, share it if you can. I need help with the algorithm. More people need to watch this video with my commentary. More people need to watch this footage. Please share. I appreciate it. And thank you guys all for tuning in, by the way.
Over and over again, like I did, because you're probably thinking out loud, what the F did I just watch? What's going on? What were Charlie's closest friends and allies and the people that were going to carry on the torch doing? Picking up phone calls they were already on and filming themselves and prematurely announcing when not a single person could have known that Charlie Kirk is dead. Less than a minute. Declared dead. No instinct to run towards him. No instinct to run further away, maybe because you got to backtrack and go get the cameras a minute after this ends is when he goes and gets the cameras, okay? Rather, let me record me and my reaction, which doesn't actually feel to me to be too distraught, okay?
I've never watched this whole video by Candace yet. I'm watching it with you guys. We're all watching this together. I seen a little bit of it on Jess on Fire earlier, but this is, and she's saying a lot of the same things I'm saying. This is why I do this. I watch tons of people make content, and I'm like, I literally have even more of the same thoughts, and I actually can give more details and explain a little bit more. But there's not a lot of people that are doing this. So I'm here. I'm here to help. And, it's good that we're all drawing the same conclusion. That means that there's something there. If we all look at the same video and see something completely different, then okay, maybe something's wrong. But when we're all getting to the same conclusion, that means that if there's smoke, there's fire. And this is an inferno.
In fact, if this is one of those videos that made me so upset that I was like mad at other people, like I was like mad at Savannah. I saw Mikey McCoy's reaction. Now I'm looking at this guy's reaction. I'm like, Savannah, like one of the homies. I get assassinated. You film yourself. I get assassinated. You're talking about my succession plan. A couple of days later, I get assassinated. You're lying about little things about me. Everything Turning Point is doing is wrong. And you know it's wrong. You know it's wrong deep down. And I want to say this because there has been a lot of reading in between the lines. It's strange to me. I think I'm a very direct person and I say what I mean. And I do not want people to mistake what's happening right now or to wrongly assume my intentions here. So allow me to be very explicit, okay? I want war with all of you, okay? All of you. And there's a reason. I'm going to get to that reason in a little bit. But I want war with all of you. So write your articles, issue your statements, email the White House, reach out for comment, okay? Say whatever it is you want to say about me. I want war with all of you.
Let me explain what Candace means by this. Everybody, I'm talking about on the, not just the Democrats on the left who already naturally hate Charlie, but they can't really explain why. It's always some petty reason. But she's talking about the people on the conservative side that fake loved him. All the fake love, the fake hugs, the fake supporters. But because she's asking too many questions, oh, maybe she's just making money off this. Oh, maybe she's just This is a man she spent years of her life touring with. A man that they both were in love with each other. And guess what? In his darkest hour, when he felt the noose around his neck getting tight, and he could sense death. He knew death was coming. He literally prophesied that he was going to die prematurely. First person that he threw the name out that he says, you know what, you know who I want to bring back? You know who I need here with me because I don't have anybody around me I can trust? I need Candace. He said, I need Candace. He said, I want to bring Candace back. You know, for a man to go back to somebody who he broke away from, because of Candace's views on Israel, we all ended up at that same point now. But at one point in time, she was one of the first people out there on her own. I'm not even a fan of Mark Lamont Hill, but I remember because I don't like the guy. I think he's a fraud. He doesn't know. He thinks men can give birth. But I remember when he first said from the river to the sea, and they kicked him off of certain stations because of that. Candace Owens was one of the first people that were like, wait a minute, this is a genocide. Charlie Kirk had to pretty much disavow Candace because there was so much content and so much between them that he had to basically call her crazy. And then he could feel that everyone around him was fake. Like in the movie The Truman Show. Remember when Truman was like, who are you talking to? Remember when his wife was doing that commercial? And he's like, what's going on? Let's see here. I'll give you an example. This is where Charlie was at. This is what Charlie was going through. Right here.
Let me get you some help, Truman. You're not well.
Why do you want to have a baby with me? You can't stand me.
That's not true.
Charlie is Truman. Erica Kirk is his wife. And everything was set up around him. Everything. All of these fake friends and all of these fake best friends and all of the fake bros. You're going to see how one of his friends magically, when he's instructed to, pops up with some beers. Like, oh yeah, this. That's why I said the Truman Show was amazing. The Truman Show was amazing.
Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking?
Exactly. This is where Charlie was mentally when he sent out that text. He sent out a group text to the board. Josh Hammer's in the text, and he said, the people from Israel are basically they're making every stereotype come true. They want to pull their funding because I'm platforming certain people. They don't want diversity of thought. They want to control what I produce, and I don't like it, and I don't want their money. And even though he had shamed Candace and pretty much threw her under the bus a couple of years prior, one of the first people he said he wants to bring back was Candace Owens. That was one of the only people he felt safe around. And he knew if something ever happened to him, she'd be one of the only people that would care enough to find out what happened. And she was the only one he could trust. And it turns out Charlie Kirk was correct. Just imagine when Charlie wrote that text to the board and he said he wanted to bring back Candace, this is where he was mentally. Watch.
Talking to. I've tasted other cocos. This is the best.
What the hell does this have to do with anything? Tell me what's happening.
Well, you're having a nervous breakdown. That's what's happening.
You're part of this, aren't you?
Roman!
Meryl!
You are scaring me!
You're scaring me, Meryl. What are you gonna do? Dice me? Slice me and peel me? There's so many choices!
She pulls a weapon on him and he's like, what are you gonna do? Kill me? We're gonna dice me up? You know, when you are backed into a corner and your target figures out that you're plotting on him, what are you going to do? You just let the target go? Do you let them win? Do you let them find out? Or do you get rid of the target? Because now the gig is up.
Who are you talking to? I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. No, I didn't talk. I wasn't talking to anybody.
Stay where you are.
Truman?
Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God.
That's Erica Kirk. And that's all the fake ass friends who are just actors that were around Charlie the entire time. The man in this video that we just saw with the shades had been with Charlie for over 10 years, and they all betrayed Charlie. All of them were in on it. Now, could you have paid these people to betray them? Yes. The only time money doesn't mean anything to you is when you're ideologically in sync. Charlie and I have the same worldview. Candace and I have the same worldview. Money is not as important as the company you keep. Because with the wrong company, people will pay you. For money, people will kill you. Your brother, your best friend, or your so-called best friend, relatives, anybody. It's very, people don't realize how lonely life is and how hard it is to know who to really trust. Most of our relationships nowadays are so shallow and so surface. The amount of time Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens spent together, it's no longer normal in this day and age because of the internet. We're so disconnected. Everything's virtual. We're not with each other. These people were on tour for years together. That's why the pain in her voice and in her eyes is real. Everyone else was just an actor. And Charlie was Truman. And what they did was they just wrote Truman out the script and they replaced him with Erica. Erica's the new Truman. And they don't know how to bring her into the public because she's a Bene Gesserit. She's not meant to be in the front. She's meant to whisper in your ear and to keep tabs on you. She doesn't have the charisma to move the movement forward. So what I predict is that they're going to come up with a new person that's going to be like a fake wannabe Charlie Kirk for TPUSA to keep the money coming in. The donors aren't going to trust him because they're going to think he's inauthentic. Because with Charlie, you watched his gradual rise. You watched him from 2017 all the way up until the day he died. You watched him progress in the public's eye. But see, they don't have 6-7 years. They're going to have to give you somebody. But who has the credentials? Who has the screen time of putting in the work? They don't have anyone. Anyone they're going to put in front of you is just going to be an instant, a popcorn Charlie Kirk. You put them in the microwave for 3 minutes. You don't have years to wait. And what are they going to choose? Say, oh, you know, Erica Kirk and him fell in love. Okay, who are they going to put Erica Kirk with next? Is she already with Josh Hammer? You know, that's how it goes with some women that they're putting on people. You're an assignment. We don't know what her current assignment is anymore or who her assignment is. But to pass on Kirk's legacy, they're going to have to put someone in his place, and they're going to need Erica Kirk to validate him. And then that might lead to another fake, you know, fraudulent love story. But if they have to get rid of the next guy, then you're going to notice that there's something going on with Erica. You won't need me to tell you, because what are the odds of that, right? Everyone around Charlie was in on it, and they all betrayed him. But is it even betrayal at a certain point? Because they were never really your friends in the first place. Remember, they made him get rid of Candace out of his life because of her views. They got rid of his only real friend so that they could control him. People didn't realize there's a lot of money that was going into TPUSA, and I don't know necessarily for what. I know Israel paid him a lot of money to speak good about them and to not speak bad about them in the war. But also they wanted the students, and they want the students' data. They did a lot of data mining, you know, because when you come to their events, there's people that assign you up. They need your phone number, your email. The Israeli company just did a geofencing around his memorial. So now I guess they can send advertisements to people who were there because you're inside of their geofence. They spent like millions of dollars doing this geofencing thing. But you know what I always wonder about that geofencing stuff? I wonder if there was any geofencing involved when all those beepers blew up on those guys in Lebanon. I wonder, we still don't know the details about how they were actually able to pull that off. We know Mossad pulled it off. We just don't know how. I wonder if I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out of thin air. Maybe there's nothing there. But there was an Israeli company that got the contract to do geofencing around these Christian events in the United States. They just did one for Charlie Kirk's funeral. And I just wonder if there was any geofencing involved in Lebanon with those pagers. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I just know that everything going on around Charlie was fake.
How can anyone expect me to carry on under these conditions? It's unprofessional!
Now, we don't know what was going on in the home of Charlie Kirk and Erica. For all we know, Charlie Kirk could have hired a private investigator to go look into his wife. And the data came back, and this happened. And she's like, I can't carry on under these conditions. And at this point, they know they lost Charlie already. Better to keep her happy and keep her. So we're going to do what we got to do, and we'll to protect her because she's our number one asset right now. The mark, which was Kirk, has served its purpose, and we're pretty much at the end of it. There's no bringing him back. There's no putting a lit. You brought Dave Smith on. I don't know if you guys remember what Dave Smith said about Israel when he was with Charlie Kirk, but it was highly inflammatory. You know what? For the argument's sake, so you guys don't think I'm just making this up, let's just go ahead. Matter of fact, I don't think it'll even be on YouTube. That's how incendiary it is. Because it's the truth. Let's see what Dave Smith said. Kirk. Where is it at? It was at a TP USA event. That's on Joe Rogan. He was on stage. There we go. Oh, man, this is going to be rough. Here we go. Now it's just loading. It won't even play. All right, let's just go ahead and refresh and see what happens. What are the odds? That's the only video that doesn't want to play all of a sudden. Let's see if it starts up now. Let's see. Dave Smith. Still just reading. Okay. Let's keep going down. Let's see if we can find another video from the Turning Point with Dave Smith. Okay, here we go. Let's see this one. Wow. Won't play. Oh, here we go. Good.
You say Israel is not an ally. That is not an opinion that people hear a lot.
Why is that?
You can hear the fear in Charlie's voice by asking this question because he knew. See, a lot of us didn't understand this at the time, but he knew this was the shot over the bow. This was Charlie Kirk making his first strike at Israel. It's kind of like throwing a rock and holding your hand. Kirk knew what Dave Smith, Kirk had an idea of what Dave Smith was going to say. And Kirk says, look, I'm neutral. There was a debate between Josh Hammer, I believe, and Dave Smith. And Kirk's like, look, I'm just in the middle. I'm not saying I agree either way. I'm neutral. But he knew what Dave Smith was going to say. So in a way, this is the equivalent of it coming out of Charlie Kirk's mouth himself. And Charlie Kirk, if you listen to his voice, it trembles because he knows that what he is saying is a declaration of war. Just like Candace declared war, this was when Charlie Kirk declared war on Zionists who have been supporting him, lining his pockets, and propping up his organization for the past 7 years. Here we go.
Is Israel an ally of the United States?
No.
Do you say Israel is not an ally? That is not an opinion that people hear a lot. Why is that?
They have been constantly pushing America toward more aggressive policies, toward getting in more fights. And just like I always say, if you went out to the bar every single night with your friend, and every night your friend's trying to convince you to get into a fight, and while you're beating a lot of people up, you're also taking a lot of wounds, and you're going to jail, and you're getting in trouble, you got to stop hanging out with that friend. And so I think that you know what? I also don't believe in welfare, and they shouldn't get another dime of U.S. taxpayer money, and they should not. So hold on. Their lobby should register as a foreign
that's a good segue. Finish that.
and they should stop blackmailing our politics.
Got it. So back to Josh.
That's the equivalent of it coming out of Charlie Kirk's mouth himself because he platformed him and he didn't stop him. And he knew Smith was going to say something. He probably just didn't know the delivery was going to be this strong. This is when Charlie Kirk, I'll be honest, Charlie Kirk woke up before this, and Charlie Kirk had to make a decision well before this that what was going to be more important, doing the right thing morally or the money. What's more important? Because if you lose the money, then everybody at TPUSA is going to be unemployed. So what's more important? Keeping people employed and keeping the money coming in, or saying what's true and doing the right thing? And it seems like Charlie Kirk made his choice. And when they could no longer buy his compliance, he was no longer useful to them. He's no longer useful to anybody. So they did what they did with Truman. They had to replace him.
Because I know this isn't right. And there is no way you are going to convince me and the rest of the world that all of this is normal.
Please share the video, like the videos, whatever platform you're on, YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook, like the video, share it. This is important. And we're going to this, I'm going to do for another 10 minutes and then we're going to stop so I can do a commercial. But please please share this content.
We're not just going to keep on going and jump into a succession plan. We're going to figure out what the hell happened on September 10th first. And I'm going to tell you guys, Charlie had a vision. We'll get to that after a few ads. King of defying no stereotypes, where we last left off, obviously, he is now infamous for just being such a deceitful little creature. The text message exchange, Josh Hammer caught, hand in the cookie jar. I'm talking way in the cookie jar. No other way to say it, right? Charlie gets killed. He, on the same day, starts pushing his book. Charlie's last words were, buy my book, buy Josh Hammer's book. The night before, he never even flinched on Israel. He loved Israel so much. And then I just waited, because we're fishing now. And I knew they would do this. I knew liars have to lie fast and first. And he did.
By the way, Josh Hammer is a Zionist Jewish guy. I don't know if you guys have ever watched any of those videos, but if you're a Christian, they hate your guts and they hate Jesus. They call him all kind of names. And if you go to Israel, they do ceremonies where they pee on his grave or they throw up on his grave. They do all these disgusting things because they believe that Jesus was an enemy. They don't believe he was a savior. They don't believe he was the son of God. And they just so that's why it makes weird bedfellows when you see Christians aligned with Zionists or Jewish people. It's a weird thing because in the grander scheme, one hates the other. They don't get along. So with Charlie's views, just being a Christian itself would be considered anti-Semitic if you're going to even give those words any credence. I mean, calling somebody anti-Semitic is like calling someone racist. It just doesn't mean anything anymore. And that's why I said the Zionists are desperate to do this to Charlie. Desperate to try to silence people on the internet from talking about it. Desperate for Netanyahu to come out. Let's see here. Netanyahu on Charlie Kirk. Let's go ahead and see if we can find that. Let's see here. Let's see. What did Netanyahu say? Let's see here. Netanyahu did a speech where he specifically said that he had nothing to do with killing Kirk.
In the gray zone, citing a close friend of Charlie and also a Trump insider, said that nations that we're talking
It's just the absurdity of it. Some of the internet rumors that somehow Israel is behind the Charlie Kirk. Before I let you go, I want you to address one thing, and it's just the absurdity of it. Some of the internet rumors that somehow Israel is behind the Charlie Kirk murder, and I don't believe it for 1 second, but I want you.
What an odd question to ask a world leader. If there's nothing to it and it's just BS on the internet, why would you even promote it? Why would you even bring it up? Why would you even give it life? It's like somebody coming out with and saying, yeah, Rico's gay. And then I come out and say, yeah, I never took some guy and was rubbing his hairy legs against my face. I never did. Well, I wouldn't even acknowledge it. I would just be like, whatever, because it's BS. Like I wouldn't even, there's some things you don't have to acknowledge because there's nothing there. Nobody would believe it because it's ridiculous. The only time you would have to literally come out and defend yourself like this is, well, when there's something that you're going to need to defend against, something's there.
Make a statement. It's so absurd.
That's insane. That's insane. Israel also changes the orbit of the moon. Israel pushes the sun. I mean, the whole thing it's not only insane, I think it's so absurd, so stupid, and so ridiculous. You can't believe that people are saying this. They just found the perpetrator. They'll get to the bottom of this, but they go, they have no limits. When you hate Jews, when you hate the Jewish state, you're willing to say anything and promote all these absurd rumors. And by the way, they're willing to kill us all the time. I mean, that's what they're doing. And over the centuries, when Jews, especially in the Middle Ages, the horrific Middle Ages, the worst things were said about Jews you couldn't possibly believe. We were poisoning the wells. We were drinking the blood of Christian children. You name it. I mean, these things, that continued actually up to the Holocaust. The Nazis said the same thing. We're carrying vermin. We're spreading disease. And people believed it. And every time they believed it, this was a prelude to a greater and greater massacre, culminating with the worst massacre of the.
Wait a minute. I've never seen this interview. I've heard about it. Please don't tell me this fucking guy just literally reversed the Charlie Kirk tragedy and actually is now saying, even though Charlie was killed, we're actually the victims of this. Did he not just use Charlie Kirk to share that his people are victims now because of the allegations? And this is what are you now you're wait, so your victimhood is going to trump Kirk? This just happened to him when this interview took place, and you're the victim. Did he just reverse victim? This is insanity. This is purely insane.
All the Holocaust. Well, since then, we've learned.
He brought up the But I'm the bad guy because I know this is all bullshit, right? That's crazy.
And when people spread these lies about us, prepare yourself for the assault. And they're trying to delegitimize the state of Israel. Charlie Kirk said to me that.
What you mean, like the assault in Gaza? You mean like the carpet bombing of civilians and children, starving them? You mean like that, or you mean like a verbal one where somebody just says something about you on TikTok? Let me know.
He wrote me this detailed letter. You have to fight the slander. These untruths, these vilifications have consequences. And he was right. But I'll tell you one thing. We're fighting on the battlefield against the terrorists and winning. And he was fighting on the battlefield of ideas. And I think he was winning. He was going to win. That's why they shot him. I hope they don't silence him. I don't think people will give in to these ridiculous lies.
Before
technically at Charlie's end, when they shot him, he was actually battling against you. He was talking about you, Netanyahu. He was battling you and your regime. He was, and not Jewish people, the Zionists that hide amongst them. Did you know that the Zionists are not even religious? They live in Israel, but they consider themselves Jewish people, but they don't believe in the Judaism religion. So it's no longer a religion anymore. It's actually an ethnic group. It's a people now. That's new. And they're atheists. They don't believe in God. So most people who are atheists believe they are gods. And if these people don't behave like it, then who does? Do me a favor, like and subscribe, share the video. I'll be back shortly. I'm going to chop up this video, make some clips, and then we'll come back and discuss it. But thanks for tuning in. I probably one of my biggest audiences tonight. I appreciate this. My Cash App got magically suspended, so you can't leave me a donation there, and I'm not monetized. But I just, like I said, I just appreciate you guys being here. I'll be back shortly with another video, and I'll see you again soon. And thank you very much for tuning in. Cheers.